welcome to We're Not Wizards. We are the best, but not wizards. Enjoy the show!
I can't see them on my.
Can you
do
know
I
them?
click on
You
the...
can, there's like a
right.
bar at the side which allows you to see. You know what I mean? How edgy you really are.
I'm 47 years old, nearly 48.
Like, are you?
Yeah.
I was 50 at December.
That's fucking nuts.
That's just. I mean, I remember 50-year-old people, and 50-year-old people.
They're
like,
old.
It's like, do you wonder if like the people that were 50 when I knew them when they were 50 were they as much of an asshole as I because I try to think back to like how my dad was and stuff like that, and basically my dad he reached the age of 51, then had a heart attack, and he was fine. He was survived it and he was fine. But I'm just trying to remember what he was like at the age of.
Well,
like,
I think we're the first
50.
generation. Generation X are the first generation that basically were allowed to live in a state of arrested development. That it's perfectly fine for us to legitimately play NES consoles still, and all of that sort of stuff. We've been allowed to not grow up. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you can see that right over there.
Is that a piece of Lego?
That is a Lego Millennium Falcon, right? Do you know what I mean?
There are moments. I'm sat in a room surrounded by board games, right?
I mean, you're such a bloody board game media shell. Look at you with your little wall of board games.
There are moments where I sort of look at myself and go, fucking hell. Like, I don't really own a suit.
No.
And back in the day, you hit 15 and that's all you wore for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Overalls and a suit. They were your two outfits.
I'm at that stage in my life where if a funeral pops up, I'm nipping along to Asda for the £25 special,
right, exactly.
which is the polyester kind of black suit jacket, because I don't have... I've got a black jacket that I would wear, like a normal coat, which means it's great, if it's wintertime, but, summertime and you're having to go to like any kind of somber occasion and you're sitting there sweating like somebody
I
who's
live in
wearing
Berlin.
a really
It's
long
fine.
coat.
We all just go to funerals in bondage gear. It's okay. You don't have to you don't have to wear a suit. It's fine.
Assless chaps.
Exactly.
Like after the service, there's like rimming with the family.
And the thing is, I'm getting older now, so basically the buttocks out of the arseless chaps are getting closer and closer to the asphalt year by year.
Just sinking. It's just a sinking.
It's just
feeling.
fucking. There's going to be like flaps just scraping along the tarmac by the end.
The wispy grey hair of your bum crack. Do you know what I mean? Looking like you're kind of like an exhaust fume from a very old broken car. Anyway, tonight I'm joined by Ben Maddox from 5 Games for Doomsday, and Ben is one of the interesting and greatest human beings on this planet.
Definitely,
always the
interesting
delight.
and greatest. They're the two. When I'm sat in existential angst, crying, looking at myself in the mirror, trying to define if I have any stretch of personality left. Amazing and great is the adjectives I pin to myself.
I mean, that's probably things that you've been kind of described as, let's face it. I mean, it's one of those, definitely one of those things, because it's like, this is going to sound weird, are we established kind of board game media kind of bedrock now that we've been doing this for so? Because I think was this year number 8 or 9?
2018 for me. So what's that? 7 years.
7 years. So that was 2016. So I'm like, I'm 1 year away from the big kind of 10 thing. And
the thing is, Richard.
Yeah.
I think people have got to have heard of you for you to be established. And no fucker knows who I am. There was someone I interviewed. I literally interviewed on the podcast about 3 or 4 years ago. And I interviewed them again for another thing about a month ago.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, thanks for coming on. And the show you did before was really popular, by the way." And they were like, "What?" And I was like, "You don't remember 5 Games for Doomsday?" The thing is, it's not like it's a sort of come on and pitch your game thing. It's quite a unique format, I think, where you pick 5 games to take to the cabin and then you talk about the apocalypse. And I was going, "Yeah, remember? We did it like 3 years ago?" And he completely had no idea he'd done the show. He'd completely forgotten.
I don't know. I think, I mean, I've done 5. I mean, I think I've done about 500 odd of these.
Right.
Episode count says like 540.
I've released a lot of old shit though on my feed, so I've got. Let me have a look. How many episodes are on my feed for the listeners' delectation?
600.
Let me have a look. Do 717.
Wow, I mean that's a problem. That's a problem. If you went to a group and said you'd done something 717 times, unless it was like score goals for like Liverpool or something, people would be looking at you kind of funny.
The thing is as well, what's his name? What's his name? The 10,000 Hours guy? Malcolm Gladwell? The thing is...
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right? So his theory is you've got to do something 10,000 hours to become an expert at it. I think I've done that on podcasting, and I'm still shite. You know what I mean? I prove Malcolm Gladwell wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, we are going to... I mean, do you know what? This is annoying because, see, before I started this, right, I was going to have this big speech to say, look, we always go off on tangents. We're not going off on tangents. No, we're going to discuss the thing that we're going to discuss. We're going to be focused. We're going to be switched on. We're going to be there.
Funerals and bondage
it's
gear.
It's definitely going to be right. That's going to be happening. And then within 2 minutes, we're kind of all over the bloody shop. And
it's your fault.
It's not any good.
It's your fault. The thing is, if you noticed, if you look at our sort of energy levels, I'm quite up, and you're quite laconic, and you sort of you sort of slowly ramp into a podcast by sort of going down winding paths of bollocks. You see, so it's your fault.
I mean, I'm absolutely, but then I thoroughly enjoy it. I'd like to be serious. I really, really try. And I listen to these people who are like organised and professional and obviously maybe don't know what they're doing, but have a format and stick to a format. And I must admit, if you go through it, there is some kind of format, but it is, the in-joke has always been, it's minute number 45 of an hour show. Let's start talking about the reason that you're here in the first place. So I
noticed a thing with the board game media, and you see it more in the board game media thing, is that you get people, you get nerds who love tech, right? And so their cameras, their stuff looks fucking amazing because they've got a great camera, brilliant lens, they've sorted out all the lighting, they know how to colour correct beautifully, and they're like, "Hello, we're playing Bag of Butts today. Would you stick your hands in the bag of butts?" And that's the thing. But the thing is, I've noticed, I watch less and less board game YouTube now, but there are a few channels of people who've got like I have no idea who they are. They're young, attractive people from LA, and they have 300,000 subscribers, which in the grand scheme of things isn't very much, but for board games is a big deal. And then they're not the traditional types. They're not your Rodneys, your Dice Towers, your shut up and sit downs.
But then I also think there's like some people who are in the board game media who just don't engage in the rest of board game media. Like your Actual LOL. You know, Actual LOL releases a video and instantly gets thousands and thousands of views. Because he's obviously got this kind of niche market where he's not traditional board game media. I think
he's a good-looking lad. He's a good writer. He puts a lot of effort into his videos.
Yeah, he does. And I'm not poo-pooing what he does in any way, shape, or form, because he's done his craft, he's done his work, and he's doing a bloody good job about it. I think what's interesting now, and I saw this on a post today of somebody kind of trying to educate and inform people about like the number of hours that they're putting in to kind of like put together a kind of like a how to play video, and it takes ages, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and I've got to do the next thing. And I'm just wanting to make publishers aware. And it's like...
I know every time we do a podcast, it just descends into a slagging other people off who do board game media. But, the thing is, right, I'm an actor, right?
Yeah.
My job is to deliver something that looks good. My job is not to tell you. It should look effortless. And it doesn't look effortless if I tell you how much bloody work's involved. You know what I mean? It's this sort of self-flagellation where you play the world's smallest violin because you have to do some bloody work. I mean, shut up. I don't care. Don't take me behind the scenes. I don't give a shit. Especially if it's a tutorial video. I really don't give a monkey's. I just want to know how to play the game.
It's like, okay, so you're spending hours on your hobby. You know what?
Yeah, you poor lad!
I mean,
you've chosen to do this as a hobby, and now you're spending time doing your hobby. I'm sure the Welsh bloody coal miners in 1917 weren't going home and spending 25 hours on their bloody hobby and then moaning about it. They woke up, went down the mine, came back up, had a strip wash, went to bed. That was their lives.
I don't know. I just find I don't know what it is. It's just one of these things that's kind of like and I see it across the US side of the channel where it's kind of like this. Look at all the time I'm spending there.
Rise and grind, baby. Rise and grind.
I need to pay. This is my side hustle. I need to hustle. You know what I mean? And I'm almost of the opinion that if you're going to do a side hustle, do it on something you're not really that interested in, if you know what I mean.
Or
if
you're going to do side hustle on something you're interested in, just bloody do it and don't moan. Or and don't moan to strangers. Like, I fucking moan to everybody. I know.
And it's wonderful and beautiful.
But like, I don't moan to strangers. I don't go on the internet and go, oh, I work so hard. I work so hard. I mean, who cares? Who cares? That's a word I haven't used. I haven't heard for ages. Strip wash. Did you ever have that? Your mum would go, "You haven't got time for a bath. Just have a strip wash."
That's it. It was like you wash things as they became available. Basically.
Well, you just stand in front of the sink and you give it some of that.
Yeah, just give it all. Yeah.
You don't get in the bath.
It's
like, I haven't got time for a bath. You haven't got time for a bath, you little bastard. Just have a strip wash.
When you were growing up, it took ages to heat the water.
Immersion heaters took forever, yeah.
You had an immersion heater, so you couldn't not just like nowadays with your newfangled bloody condenser.
Don't know they're living, do they? These content creators, they don't know they're living.
You had to go up to a bit in the wall. There's a switch. You had to press the button on the switch.
Tell you what though, the airing cupboard was lovely though. If when you were a kid, you could go in and stand by the immersion heater, and it was bloody lovely. Except it had the
big jacket round it.
Yeah, the like fiberglass thing. So
yeah, but even then, there's not a lot of folk at the time when you're really growing up. If you had a jacket round your immersion heater, look at that posh bastard.
Thing is, it's so funny. It's so funny because we live in the modern world, and I'm sat here talking to you now over video phone, and I have my PC in front of me, and all of this sort of stuff, and the world feels quite modern and everything, And when I think about it, I think our generation maybe was the last generation who sort of grew up when things were really old-fashioned still. Because I didn't have an indoor bog till I was about 8 years old. So our bath and toilet was outside in a little shed in the garden. And you had to go out and have a shit and a bath in the little shed in the garden. And it was very exciting when the council came round and built us a bathroom inside the house.
I can't, because you're younger than me, and that's like something I'm just like, I can't, I suppose, but then on the other side of it, I do, you hear about the tin bath being
wheeled out in front of
everybody to have. And you used to have like a Sunday bath. I mean, that was a thing. It was
once a week,
get
have
a wash
a bath
during
once
the
a
week. Quick wash.
Yeah.
Sunday bath on the Sunday, or unless you were out wenching, and then you had a bath on the Friday, just in case.
Right.
Just in case somebody, you turn somebody's head, as they would do. But so basically these content creators don't know the
Well,
bloody
exactly. Oh, I'm working so hard. I want the publishers to know. I used to have to go outside in the bloody winter for a shit. I told my girlfriend this story the other day. So, I grew up on a council estate. We were common as muck in the family. We were the poorest of the family, the most scumbaggy. And my brother and my sister. My sister's 15 years older than me. My brother's 17 years older than me.
Wow.
And one day, my sister came home with a goat.
I didn't know where that was going.
And my mum was like, "What's this?" He goes, "Oh, I got given this goat. I want to have this goat," because she was going out with this Romany guy, and he gave her a goat. And she goes, "I got this goat. He looks evil, so I called him Damien." So we had this goat in the backyard, and this story takes a bit of a dark turn actually. With this goat in the backyard for a few days, and then one morning my sister's crying and goes, "Oh, what's wrong?" She said, "Oh, Damien's dead." We were like, "What?" He goes, "Oh, he strangled himself in the night on his rope because he was tied up. He must have twisted it round, strangled himself. He's dead." And we're like, "Oh, terrible! Damien's dead." Once about 20 years later, I found out that my mother said to my brother, "We've got to get rid of this fucking goat." And he went down in the middle of the night and throttled the fucking goat.
Oh my goodness!
With his bare fucking hands in the middle of the night. That's growing up on a council estate, baby.
That's amazing. Did you eat the goat
No.
afterwards?
To my disappointment, Damien did not end up in the oven.
That would have been. I mean, I'm not, but obviously,
I don't endorse strangling goats. Don't get me wrong.
It just sounds like you did. If it makes a good story, it sounds like you did.
I don't endorse the strangling. I endorse the story. There's a difference.
The story is good. The story is good. Speaking of stories, the reason that you're here.
That was a slick segue.
Do you like that?
I'm telling the publishers I'm working on segues 12 hours a day. They don't give me no gratitude. All I does is I works on segues all night. I gets up in the morning, segue school.
And then even then, I'm having to sit round with a book. You know the book by Ivan Segway, who invented the Segway. You've got to study the ways of the Segway. And what are you doing today?
The bloke who invented the Segway drove off a cliff on a Segway.
No, he didn't.
He did. He died driving off a cliff on a Segway.
That'd have been amazing. It's like that, and it's like, and folk were looking at it going, "There's no way he's going to bring that back."
So, actually, I wanted to talk to you about something, and so I'm going to be super vague now, and you're going to have to remember. Right. So, the Board Game Reviewers and Media group on Facebook, or as I like to call it, the How to Get Free Games group on Facebook. You posted something that was that I was reading. I was like, yes. What was it? You're gonna have to remind me. And I was like, It was something cynical about people being assholes or something.
I don't think it was anything that cynical. It was pretty much basically. It was along the lines of about crowdfunding for some of the bigger content creators. I noticed that quite a few of them recently had either skirted across the line or had quite, struggled to kind of get an awful lot of momentum.
How did the Dice Tower do in the end?
I don't know.
They did fund, but it was looking sketchy towards the end, I think.
I think they managed to kind of scrape through. I think even I don't know if the Secret Cabal did their funding. I was just aware.
They did. After seeing that post, I had a look and they just scraped. Oh no, I think they lowered their funding thing, so they actually looked like they did it. But anyway, your point was what?
Well, my point was what is there a general kind of, what was the reasons why they basically weren't kind of funding, the reasons that they weren't kind of reaching the goals? Because in the past, I don't know if it was because they were setting themselves lower levels, but they seemed to kind of smash through it. And I wondered if it was like the message wasn't there, or people are too much interested in like some kind of promo or benefit, as opposed to being like, you are giving us money to kind of help the channel kind of grow, you know.
So I think part of it is certainly so if you look when the Secret Cabal starts, when Rado starts, Dice Tower start a bit before that, but you look at those original people who were doing content on board games on the internet when we sort of got into board games, sort of 2010 to 2012 sort of time. There was about 5 of them, right? And so they were really popular because there weren't very many. Now, I mean, YouTube in any niche, not just board games, but in any niche, there's thousands of channels, right? I mean, I think I do pretty good stuff on YouTube, but no fucker watches it. Because I'm not very YouTubey, because I'm not very because I'm old. And like, so the thing is, the Dice Tower are kind of, the problem is it's new media, right? I think the Dice Tower are kind of aging out of, all these people are kind of aging out of it. And now there's loads more stuff, and so there's too few to, this is a good sentence, there's not enough to go around because there are so many channels. So I look at Rado, right? It seems like a nice enough fella and everything, but when he was super popular round about sort of 2013, 2014, and he was like a proper influencer in the sense that he made Gloomhaven the success it was, right?
Yeah, he definitely was.
Like, if you look at Rado's videos, no one would put up with that now, right? The shaky hand cam and all of this sort of stuff. It's just, he would never, he would have just been another guy making videos in the niche now, and no one would watch it. So it's just, there are so many. YouTube is so difficult now.
But I also think it's the short form stuff as well. It's not only the short form stuff, but it's also like, going back to that group, I see people posting, they have like stats day, and they basically say, oh, look, post your kind of your milestones that you've made. And it's people like talking about kind of like how many Instagram followers that they've got, or how many kind of people that, how many kind of reels or whatever they've got on Instagram, or how many things they've done on TikTok and stuff like that. And I was always under the impression that these were secondary things. I didn't think...
They were things pointing you to your YouTube.
I thought that long form content, that was what you did. You know, people did long form content. So they did YouTube videos, or they did written work, or they did kind of like podcasts. Yeah. And I thought that was the 3 staples. And now what I'm seeing is there's people that are kind of going, people are saying, oh yeah, could you review my upcoming Kickstarter? And they're like, yes, cardboard tire slashers. We'd like, and it's the strangest names, cardboard tire slashers. You know, the rather infatigable meeple. Yes, we'd love to cover your content, but they're like Instagrammers. They're like literally putting up 15 pictures of the thing, and then they're writing like a quick paragraph. And I'm just like, how does anybody find that? It's almost like it's an instant thing where it kind of stuck. Because I don't know of anybody who shows their body of work and goes, here's my... And I'm not... I mean, Instagram is very much people who are doing it, and I know people that kind of do kind of well on it, and they put lots of pictures up. But I always was under the impression that, like, I used to, when we wrote reviews, we used to, like, write reviews...
Don't be apologetic, by the way. Don't be apologetic. Oh, I'm not meaning to throw shade at Instagram. Throw shade at Instagram. It's fucking dog shit.
I just don't.
And the people who have loads of followers on fucking Instagram, they're doing vacuous fucking shit. I mean, shade deserves to be thrown.
I just don't understand why you.
It is absolute refuse.
I just don't. I don't understand why you would like that would be your main channel. And I see, but I do see
because it's fucking easy. It's fucking easy. And the thing is, to be fair with most of these people, right? It's with most of these people, it's not their job. They would like to, I'm sure, like to make loads of money, but it's not their job. So, it's fucking easy. I mean, the thing is, I had a job interview today, and I was speaking to the guy, and we were talking about the stuff I do on the media and all of this, and he was like, he was talking about some board game channels in German. And I said, well, it takes me time to do videos because I script them. He was like, you script them? And I was like, yeah. He was like, all of the review channels I watch don't script them. And I'm the idiot for scripting them, right? Because I take all of this time and then no fucker watches. So, I mean, I'm not waving this flag of superiority. Well, I am a bit.
I mean, we both are.
But, you know, and the thing is, so Jamie Stegmaier says that if you're gonna get a review copy of my game, Instagram's not good.
That's what he says. He says Instagram's not good enough, TikTok's not
Which
good
is
enough,
fair enough, which is
Reels
totally
aren't good
fair
enough. It's got to be something permanent where he says, like, I'm not necessarily going to read your stuff, I'm not necessarily going to watch your stuff, but if you send me a link, I want to be able to refer back to that stuff if I need to.
But he will sure as hell know if you've dogged all over one of his games.
I don't.
He'll sure as hell know.
I think he. I don't. I think he does. I think he. I think there's certain people that like to kind of like make a noise that they don't like Stegmaier's kind of stuff on a regular basis, and I think that kind of thing kind of grabs his kind of attention. Do you know what it is? And I just think that you're 7 years, I'm 9 years in doing this, that we're into the next generation of kind of content creators. And this,
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sitting here going, oh, I'm an old dinosaur. Why are people not writing stuff down? Why is it always... And it's like, and it's fair enough. What I don't understand or have difficulty with is people who are doing Instagram and then are saying like, well, I think you should give me some money for doing this. I'm just like, I don't.
Saying that though, there's a girl who does Instagram stuff. She does board game Instagram stuff, and I think some game shop gave her some money to do something pre-Essen. She's American, but she went to Essen, and I watched this thing she did, and it was just a series of sort of. It was like a slideshow of photos with some text. And to be fair, she didn't tell a bad story.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the fucking Godfather, don't get me wrong. But, it wasn't a bad story. Like, I watched it and I thought, wow. Like, she managed to craft a narrative of her day in this board game shop in sort of 45 seconds. And it was, I mean, crafting the narrative in that way was quite impressive. Very marketing, very ad stuff. But still crafting the narrative was quite impressive, I thought. It's just, the thing is, I went to the middle of buttfuck nowhere in Germany not so long ago to visit my girlfriend's family. And I was sat in the back of the car next to her niece, and her niece is like 11. Yeah. And Snapchat has like its own TikTok section.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know this.
And I was watching her, and she just sat in the back of the car, glued to her fucking phone, because TikTok is the crack of social media, right? And she's watching these things, and she's coming to a decision about whether she wants to watch this 10-second clip within 2 minutes, right? 2 minutes, within 2 seconds. So she look at it, she doesn't want it, just up, another video, another video, another video, another video. None of them are longer than 10 seconds long. And it's, it's little wonder. But then again, it's weird, isn't it? Because if you'd have told me in 2002 the talk radio would be the biggest media form in the world by 2025, I'd be hugely surprised. Yeah. But essentially, if you look at podcasts are the biggest form of media that people listen to the most, I think, in the world. They certainly more than TV, more than films. And, Joe Rogan's podcasts are 4 hours long, and I'm sure there's loads of people who have really long form sort of chat. And so it's interesting that sort of, and I guess the reason podcasts work is because when people are walking their dog, or they're going for a run, or they're doing the washing up. I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time because washing up is a fucking nightmare. Washing up with a podcast is bearable. You know what I mean?
You've got to break that habit of trying to do your washing up when you're in the Sunday bath. I mean, that's what your issue is. You keep bashing the plates off the tin.
Because the thing is, you sometimes get shards on your scrot.
Oh, I don't know. No.
Terrible.
No.
Then you got to get the TCP out.
Goodness
and the thing is, it's unhygienic as well, because you're in the bath water from your brother. You know what I mean? He's the oldest, so he gets the bathwater first.
Sticks the hot coal in it just to kind of keep it warm and kind of give it an extra little bit of thing. I think times have changed. I didn't expect. It's funny because if one thing social media has done is it's pushed how quickly the generational way that we communicate. It's away from kind of like, it used to be the telegram, the letter, and then it was like the telephone. And then the gap between like people, the telephone kind of getting invented and used widely, to the gap to like mobile phones, to the gap between people using mobile phones to actually phone each other and just message each other. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, how many times... I'm quite old-fashioned. I like to have a phone conversation, but I guess that's why I like doing the podcasting.
I detest it.
But I know lots of people who just refuse point blank to
I certainly don't
take a telephone call.
So, Christ, on a bike though. Like, I use the phone because you can arrange something.
Yeah.
What takes 30 seconds to arrange on a phone takes 50 messages to fucking arrange over WhatsApp. Yeah. So it's just like, hey, 5:30 tomorrow? Yeah, lovely. Yeah. See you then. What? Done. Fucking WhatsApp. What you doing? What do you mean what am I doing? Bloody emoji. And it's like, and as well, people, emojis, it's like, and like my missus once said, you never use emojis. And I'm like, yes, because I'm not a 6-year-old. I can convey myself using words and sentences.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the way that people communicate changes on a much more rapid basis now.
And also, as you said, it's generational.
It is absolutely generational.
What kids are using to communicate?
Well, and the kids gap, it's not a 30-year generational gap. It's down to like 10. It's like what your kids are kind of doing now. So I'm looking. I guess I'm trying to give these new social influencers, or whatever you'll call them, deviled eggs, a little bit of a break to say, well, this is the now, and maybe I'm sitting here on, being all regretful, being a Luddite, and going, I don't know why people are using this crap anymore. Why are you trying to be modern? And maybe I should accept, because I still see kind of like the long form stuff. I mean, no pun included. I've just released a video out to do with, I think it's to do with theme and stuff like that in relation to kind of board games and science stuff, and I'm going to give it a look-see. But it's one of the few, I guess, essay type videos, apart maybe from, I think, Amabel Holland. They do those kind of essay videos. But nobody else is, I don't see anybody else really kind of doing that in this, the best board games you can play while eating marshmallows kind of thing. Ho ho!
Thing is, it's honestly,
but people don't watch it.
Honestly, people don't watch it. And the thing is, I've got loads of essays on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That I think are pretty good. The problem is, the reason I stopped doing them is because no fucker watches them. And a lot of bloody work. I mean, they're a lot of bloody work. It takes a week to write an essay to get it decent, at least. So
how long is it going to take you to write your book then?
So
here we go. 32 minutes in.
Give us a. So. Let's go back to the beginning. We've got in halfway through the book conversation here. Ask me an introductory book question.
An introductory book question.
How did you come to be writing a book about board games, Ben?
All right. Okay. So, what made you decide to put pen to paper and switch from, as I say, a cardboard to actual paper itself, and kind of create yourself a book about board games?
I've been spending 16 hours down the Segway mines. You don't understand how hard it is digging up those Segways. Bloody hard.
It's just awful.
I didn't decide. So
what do you mean you didn't decide?
I didn't. Well, I said yes to an offer.
Are you being
I was given,
held hostage? I mean, one wink for yes, 2 winks for no.
We're going to get into the profitable business of taking people hostage and making them write books about board games. Quids in,
if there's anything profitable at the moment, it's the entire industry of board games.
And books. Let's bring them both together.
What could go wrong?
So, are you familiar with board game designer and author of books about board games, Isaac Shalev.
I am only aware of Isaac Shalev because you keep name dropping him like Molly Sugden's Bridesmaids.
So he's designed, currently Tiana Nogue is doing quite well. That's one of his. And he wrote with Jeff Engelstein this the building blocks of tabletop game design, which is basically, it's like a dictionary of mechanisms. And you look up the mechanism and it gives you a paragraph bump of what it is. And he published this book, and his publisher said, "Oh, we want you to write another book." So he pitched them a book. And then last year I was in Reno, because I was flown over to Reno to this board game convention. And Isaac came. And we were in the casino. And if you ever go to Reno, it's the weirdest fucking place on the planet. And we were in the casino having a drink at the end of the night. And we were having a chat. And he said, "Have you ever thought about writing a book?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "I've got a contract with this publisher. Do you want to come in and write the book with me?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And I got the impression that he'd already got the contract for the book. And he said, "Okay." And we were a bit, we'd had a couple of drinks. So I assumed it was just, the drink talking or whatever. Anyway, the next week, I get an email saying, "Okay, we've booked a Zoom meeting with the publisher. We're going to have a meeting with the publisher in like 2 days. So we've got to get together and we've got to pitch this book." Well, we get into the meeting, and I thought he'd already pitched the book, had already signed the contract, and was bringing me on as a writer. Turned out he'd pitched a completely different project, and the publisher was like, "Well, we need to re-pitch this, because it's a completely different project from what you pitched me. And it's not usually what we publish, right?" And so basically, the idea of the book, we haven't really got the title. I think the title is something like 21st Century Games.
Okay.
And then there's a subtitle which we haven't got yet, that we keep sending each other terrible subtitles over Messenger, and then the other one has to gently tell
it's rubbish. You don't go anywhere near it.
So basically what we're doing is writing 21 chapters, 21 games that have defined this century in gaming.
Wow.
Right? And so we pick a game, and a game is an example of a wider trend. So I've got to write 10 essays. I've already written 2. The first one is about authorship in gaming. And so is there an authorial voice in board game design, and what sort of games encapsulate that sort of notion of an authorial voice? And so I've chosen Through the Ages as the game that encapsulates that. And then basically through that in that essay I talk about the origins of Through the Ages, Sid Meier's Civilization, and the original Civilization board game. And then I talk about Vlaada Chvátil. I give a brief history of 20th century Czechoslovakia, and sort of how I assume his experience within communism reflects on his game design and the humor in his game design and all this sort of stuff. And then I talk about Through the Ages and how Through the Ages is a work of authorship, in that he manages to give you a sort of cohesive indication of his view on the world, but not through writing or something, but through board game mechanism. And the example I always tell people is the Kremlin. Communism. If you get the communism government system in Through the Ages, your military shoots through the roof, but your net happiness goes down. So it gives you a sort of a view on kind of what he thinks about communism. So that's one essay. I've just finished my second essay, which is on Dominion, and the essay on Dominion is about originality, and how deck building is this just. It seemed to emerge sui generis out of the ether as this completely new mechanism that had never existed before. And in the essay, I kind of want to support that thesis, but also kind of undermine that thesis. So I talk about Magic the Gathering. I talk about Cosmic Encounter. I talk about Donald X. Vaccarino's life and the 90s explosion of Eurogames and all of that sort of stuff. And that's the essay I've just finished. And then my next essay, and I'm waiting to get interviews with the people involved before I start it, is Pandemic and the sort of the true birth of co-op games, basically. And so each chapter, and Isaac's writing one on Terraforming Mars, and each chapter will deal with that, basically.
So,
and that's the book.
So have you been able then to lean on your back catalogue of interviews that you've got? And
not only, so bear in mind, I've just finished the writing. These have not been edited yet. But not only have I lent on my back catalogue, I mean, I interviewed Donald X. Vaccarino for the show, and what's so brilliant about the recording website I use is it makes a transcription, a written transcription of the interviews that I can download as a text file. And so not only have I lent heavily on the podcast and the interviews with the people, but also I make sure to drop the name of the podcast at least 2 or 3 times a page. just to
remind people where the actual sources are.
Exactly.
In terms of your writing style, okay.
Yeah.
Do you write out loud? Now, what I mean by that,
you're gonna have to clarify.
And what I mean by that is, when I'm writing stuff, I almost write stuff as I talk. So I will be talking away and kind of writing at the same time, reading kind of back and forward. I find it quite difficult to... I'm not the type of person who can write in a public space or something like that. I couldn't be sitting at kind of like Starbucks or Costa Coffee with like a cup of coffee and a laptop in front of me kind of typing away, because at some point I've got to read it back to myself just to see if it kind of makes sense and if it flows and stuff like that as well. So when it comes to approaching the writing, because you're quite loquacious, I would say, do you find that you end up... I know you said you've not edited, but as you're going through the writing process, do you find yourself automatically kind of maybe stripping out stuff? As in, do you write the kind of the same way that you talk, I guess? No. I write in a much more florid fashion than the way I talk. Yeah? Yeah, oh, absolutely. Let me see if I can pick I'm going to see an example of this. The steam was gently rising off the tin bath. It was Sunday again.
Bloody hell, Mum! The water's Baltic! Shut up, you little bastard!
Little Tommy wasn't in the best of moods because he'd just spent 12 hours down the Segway mines, and his little hands were almost red raw with the number of connections that he had made. Right, so here we go. So this may well get cut because it is flawed. Here we go. I want to hear that. I love this. This is the beginning of my Dominion. All right, here we go. Right, okay. Okay, almost nothing is truly original. King Lear, the hydraulic lift, general relativity, all have their antecedents. They're all waypoints, a step followed by another and followed by another until we end up where we are today. This silicon world with all of its attendant benefits and follies. It's almost impossible in most cases to be able to point a finger and say, there is the first instance of that idea. Just as the human eye evolved in countless iterative steps, so the products of human creativity are the result of creeping forward along the path of advancement. We may say that the Ramones created punk rock, but Blitzkrieg Bop doesn't exist if Grady Martin's bass hadn't fuzzed out on the Marty Robbins track Don't Worry 15 years before. You have no Cervantes without Montaigne, no Albert Einstein without Max Planck, and all of their inspirations become ever more indistinct as we travel further away from them into the future. That's the opening line, and it's florid stuff. You know what I mean? No, because it's very you. I can imagine you standing up in front of like a YouTube video and kind of reading that, because you have a very particular style, and I think that's because of your acting chops and your work in the theatre, the way that you talk through and enunciate things as you go. And it's also, I'm very pretentious. Yes, you are. I didn't want to say, I maybe if he cut you open like a stick of rock, you'd be like, "How very dare you?" Would be written down the inside.
Like I don't know who Montaigne is. I heard someone talk about Montaigne being an essay writer.
I thought it was
once on a podcast, and so I'll just stick
I
it
thought
in
it was the
It
dog
sounds
that hung
clever.
around with the muskehounds.
They're all dogs.
Are they?
Which one? That's the point. It's the Muskehound.
Oh right, okay. Oh no, it's
Dog
oh right,
Tanyan
okay.
and the Muskehound.
Yeah, I forgot.
Isn't it?
Okay, so here's the
One
question.
bottle
Here's the
and
question.
all
Yeah, I
for
know.
one. Muskehounds
But the question
are
is,
always
right?
ready.
Okay, why did they all like the kind of mysterious milady? Because she was a cat. I mean, why wasn't there an instant killer chase her down the street and murder her? Why did they give her a chance?
Exactly. You'd have thought back in those days that kind of interspecies relationship would have been frowned upon. But it is decadent royalist France.
I suppose it is.
You know, the French have always been perverts. That's what that cartoon
That's
teaches
basically
us.
what it's saying all the way through. Because they had the little mouse thing. The mouse was involved as well, wasn't there? A little mouse.
Yeah,
I think there was a little mouse as well. In terms of the writing process,
yeah.
are you able to write something, change it, and keep it, or are you the type of person you go, well, this is all shite, Control A and delete the entire thing and kind of start again because it's not quite hitting the narrative vibe that you want it to hit?
So my writing process is a bloody nightmare because I'm old.
Yes.
I do the first
You
draft
say that.
handwritten.
See, you say that, but you're younger than me, and that just like literally just like
Yeah, as if you're not old.
I'm not old. I am not secretly taking these.
Nutrition geeks. I've got to the age where YouTube is advertising testosterone supplements.
I'm getting to the age where in the spam filter where you kind of get the Viagra spam. I'm not instantly deleting it straight away. I'm having a quick. I'm actually, well, you're not as good. You're not as good a price as the other ones.
I'm hovering.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should.
For a rainy
Just
day.
in case.
I mean, I'm fine
you never
now.
know. It can strike at any time.
I'm at an age where I'm like, it might be a bit of a relief. I might be able to get on with more stuff if it just stops. You know what I mean? I think if it goes, I'm just not going to bother starting the engine again.
It's just like one less thing to worry about, isn't it?
Yeah, just one less thing to. It's great. I get to go to the pub more.
It's just like less hassle.
But
just like get on with it.
But the writing process for me is a nightmare because I write my first draft handwritten because I can't type, basically. I'm an awful typer, so my brain runs quicker than my hands.
I'm not surprised.
Right? And so the thing is, my first draft is just ideas. It's basically a very detailed plan. It's like an essay, but it's most of it's shit. I would say from first draft to second draft, 75% of it changes.
Wow.
Not like the structure particularly. I'm quite good. The structure kind of stays, I think. But in terms of just physical words, sentences, and all of that, 75% of it changes. From first draft to second draft, and then third draft to me is usually... What's amazing is you go into your third draft and you're like, you realise that two sentences completely contradict each other.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's terrible. So then you've got to try and work that out. And so, like I said to Isaac, we're gonna edit each other's pieces. And I said to him, what your job with me is not to tell me how to write a sentence. I think I can write a sentence. It's just tell me if I'm just completely logically inconsistent from one paragraph to another, And
yeah, I think it's self-editing's great, but I think sometimes you need. I mean, we've both been the subject to kind of to being edited in the past in terms of like stuff that we've done for olden day kind of tabletop kind of magazine and stuff like that.
And also those far right pamphlets you used to.
Well, they were very good.
They were good, but you needed Dieter to edit them before he put them out. I mean, it's clear.
I just wanted to make sure they were historically accurate. And
Exactly,
I'm not going to say
exactly.
I'm not going to say I told you so, but I mean it's gone mainstream now. So you know what I mean. I'm on those little like late night whiskey filled rants at 1:30 in the morning. I mean, you were a doubter.
Yeah,
you were a doubter,
right.
but I mean, I'm telling you, what's gonna happen? It's kind of it's absolutely
it's mainstream.
Do you know what I mean? It's right out there. It's like everybody watching Gogglebox. You know, it's one of those things. And you joke at it, and I wasn't going to mention it. This is like Faulty Towers. It's like what
you gotta let it all out.
Why are you bringing it up?
You've got to let people. You got to let people.
Why
in.
I don't want to let people in. In terms of like, what's the process then for getting the book published and stuff like that? I mean, is it a set kind of time scale? Does it go through?
Yeah. So this was I'd never done this before, right? So basically, I don't know if this publisher works any different to any other publisher. So basically, the way it was, we had to submit a pitch document. So this publisher has a particular template, and because Isaac basically was project manager on this because he's worked with them before. And so what you have to do is you have to give them a chapter by chapter breakdown of the book, right? And then you have to give them referees that you want them to contact. And then basically what they do is they send out this pitch to various people who then read it and tell the publisher whether they think it's a decent idea for a book or not, right? So we sent it out to loads of people. Dan Thoreau, Jeff Engelstein. About 10 people, I think, read over the pitch and then came back. And so the thing was, we met for the first time in August, I think? July or August. Yeah. And he said, we're going to send out the things this week and we'll get back to you in 2 months. We got the green light for the book on like December the 28th or something. Like it took months. Because they write very dry academic books, and this is not a very dry academic book. Because I'm quite good at flashy words, I'm not very good at flashy content. So, and then basically what happens is you get this big... So you get the contract, and the contract tells you what you're delivering, the format you're delivering it in, like how many words are expected, all of this. And with this book, after 3 months, they want 30% written, which is fine. We're there now, basically. And then they want to go over the 30% that's written to sort of give us feedback and stuff. And then you get a deadline. So our deadline is the 15th of January.
Okay.
So I've got loads of time, basically. I do an essay a month. I'm having a little break at the moment just because I'm waiting for Matt Leacock. I'm doing an interview with Matt Leacock next week. And I did it with Zev because he originally published it, and then Matt Leacock, and I'm going to get an interview with him over the whole thing, and then I'm going to write my pandemic essay. And then, basically, and it's stuff like, the contract's fascinating in the, you always wonder how these things work, but it sort of breaks down how many author copies you get and what your royalties are and all of this sort of stuff. And we got a very small advance. I mean, you don't write these books to make money. You write these books for social kudos,
Quite.
And then, basically, then you write the book, you put it in. And what I didn't realise, and this must be this publisher, I guess it's not, all publishers operate like this. But like all the images in the book we have to source the image for the front cover. We have to find, the quotes you get on the back. Ben Maddox is a visionary genius. And he's probably
spelled that wrong. I take it the P is silent.
We've got to source those quotes as well. So basically, when I interview Matt, I'm going to say, when I finish my pandemic essay, can I send it to you so you could give us a quote for the back of the book? And, stuff like that. I'm not sure other publishers... I'm sure Salman Rushdie isn't sourcing the images for his books.
I don't know if it's a protection thing. As in, they can say, well, we didn't source all these images, we didn't source the quotes. It's kind of like they're putting more of the work onto you, I guess. It kind of allows
sure.
them to kind of like say, well, if there's any issues with images, and let's face it, nowadays.
No, but they do say in the contract you have to when you get images, make sure you have the rights usage, and that all has to be cleared before it's published. So,
in terms of for yourself, because you're a creative soul, and you've been doing like your.
Is that a euphemism for lazy bastard?
No, it's not. It's a euphemism for... Yeah, no, it's not. No, you're a creative soul. I mean, I can imagine if I stuck you on a desert island, if I came back to you like 3 weeks later, you would have like done something, kind of like created like musical instruments or some way of...
I would have died.
You would have, yeah, probably.
I would,
he would have died, but he would have whistled a fantastic tune on his way out.
Writing a sonnet isn't going to help.
Yes, I know, but what I'm saying is... You've always talked, when we've talked in the past, you've always talked about doing something creatively within the board game space that's going to kind of like generate you some income.
Yes.
And obviously 5 Days for Doomsday does a little bit of that, gets a little bit of bread on the table. And now you're in the situation where you're kind of like, you are kind of doing that creative stuff, and there is going to be a little bit of money off the kind of the back of it. Has that made you more determined, more focused in terms of I could actually do more of this kind of thing?
So what's really interesting is everything when it happens ends up feeling normal, right? So I cannot, when I step back sort of 3 feet, then I get a bit of perspective on it. I cannot explain to you how bloody cool it is to have signed a contract to write a book.
Yeah.
It's so bloody cool. It's been an aspiration of mine my entire life. It's so bloody cool. It's not going to make me a lot of money, but that's not the issue. It's I mean, honestly, I'm getting paid to write a book. There is going to be a book with my name on the cover, words that I've generated printed onto paper. It's so bloody great. Has it made me more determined? I don't know. I've always been sort of quietly pretty determined anyway, you know. So it's I don't know. I really give a shit about what I do, even though I'm quite flippant about it. And so it's just important to me. So writing this book is really important to me that it's good and timely. That's what I want, right? I don't want to miss the deadline. I want to bring it in 4 months before the deadline. And you know, the thing is I had an outside shitter until I was 8 years old. And so I find it very hard to take shit like this for granted, you know. Working class kids from the Crescent in Tenbury Wells don't write books. And so it's a real, even if it doesn't bring a lot of money, it's an incredible privilege. Even though it's taken me a long time, and you know, I'm middle-aged at this point, but it's such a bloody privilege. It's so exciting. And, you know, people will hate it. There will be a constituency of people who will really hate it because I am florid, you know, but I'm hoping that there will also be a constituency of people who find it bloody entertaining and a good read and enjoy the book. And, you know, and I hope I've had ideas of books to pitch to them further on, but I can't pitch them to them yet. The wheels need to roll a bit, but yeah, it's hugely exciting. It's made me determined not to fuck this up, right? Because I'm a self-sabotager, and I have friends. I have one friend in particular, and of course I won't mention his name here. He's incredibly talented in the field. He's talented.
Is it Derek?
But whenever
yes, right, okay.
But whenever he gets an opportunity, he doesn't complete it because he completely sabotages himself. And so he could have been very successful in this field and is not, purely because his brain does funny things and he stops doing it. And the thing is, when we were talking about writing this book, Isaac was like, "You're doing the Dominion chapter because I don't want to write it." And I was like, "Christ, I know nothing about Dominion." And I've barely played it. And that was 10 years ago, right? And so the reason I finished the Dominion chapter is because it was the one I was dreading the most. So I thought, I'll just get this done, you know. And it ended up being an absolute bloody joy. Because the thing is, what I've always known about writing, but you always have to rediscover about writing, is the only way you write is by writing. So walking around, formulating ideas, planning about what you're going to do is all very good, but you've got to bloody sit down and write. You've got to sit down and write. And so, you know, every day I try and get down some words. And now I've got this, because this is a deadline and it's a contract and it's work, it really gives me the impetus to finish it. So, you know, it took me about 3 weeks to write the Dominion essay, which is about 9,000 words, which is quite a lot. It's actually 8,000 words. It's 18,000 words because I write a draft and then I rewrite a draft.
That's a lot.
So it's a lot of stuff, but it's like, it's so exciting. And, you know, I had many days. So there's a lovely little cafe up the road that I go to. And they've got outdoor heating in the winter. So I go and get a coffee and I sit outside and I write there. Because I can't write at home because there's just, you know, you have a wank, you do the washing up, you know, all that sort of stuff. And
sometimes at the same time.
Sometimes at the same time. Well, you get to clean it.
You clean it off afterwards.
Anyway,
I mean, you got fairy liquid there.
Exactly. And so the thing is, I would go there thinking, I cannot be arsed with this today. I just cannot be arsed. And walk out an hour and a half later feeling so bloody good about myself, because I'd written 6 or 7 pages of pretty good stuff. So basically the way I work is I set myself a target each day. So if I'm writing by hand, it's 6 handwritten pages. And if I'm writing on the computer, it's 1,500 words. And set yourself those targets and just work towards those targets. And once you've done them, it's bloody great. You feel like you've done your duty for the day and you feel much better, you know?
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, I got to set myself I'll sometimes end up procrastinating over putting something together, because I know if I'm then under pressure, I know I'll work on it. The worst thing that somebody can do for me is to say, it'd be brilliant if you could cover our game at some point.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, when? Oh no, don't worry about it. And it's like, if they do that to me, right, it is gonna sit on the shelf.
I won't worry.
I'm not gonna worry about it. But if you say to me, right, okay, and I guess that's why I occasionally like kind of covering the kind of the crowdfunding preview things from people I know. Or people that I've written stuff for before, not like that I know. Is that if they say, right, I kind of need this kind of covered by the second week in February, I'm like, cool, the second week in February, I will have it sitting with you by the first week in February. I know I'll get it done because I know I have a set kind of a time. Otherwise, I'll just... Deadlines are fantastic. I need deadlines. That was like when it was the same when we were both writing for the... Tabletop Game magazine. That was the best thing, because it was like okay, so this needs to be in by the 26th, and it's like, well, it's the 10th just now, so I'll get it written by the 13th, and then I can muck around, I can send it off, and that's it done. I don't have to worry about it, and I give myself a kind of a big tick, and it's all done and everything like that. I was very rarely in the situation where I was kind of writing on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and writing it for the kind of the day before, because it just kills me.
I had a few months where I did a lot of essays for them, a lot of reviews. And so I would skirt up to the deadline sometimes if I was writing 6 or 7, but because I had other stuff I was doing. But, you know, are you still writing for them?
No, not really.
And why not?
I've not pitched for a while, and I've not had kind of review stuff in a while. And I guess I just haven't done it. I don't know why. I kind of, I've been kind of happy to get on with my own kind of little stuff, my own little world and stuff like that.
I got on with the one editor, and then I didn't get on with... I can tell a bloody story here, why not? So, what's his name?
Well, there's CJ. Chris Egger.
Chris. Yeah. So, I loved writing for Chris. Because he gave me the Agony Aunt column in the magazine. And he basically let me write anything. And so basically the Agony Aunt column, and this was always my plan from the beginning, was the guy was going to get progressively more MAGA as the column went on. And he does. If you read all the Agony Aunt columns, he gets crazy conspiracy as it goes on. And then Chris quit, and I applied for the job. Yeah, and I got down to the last.
You did,
I think, and then I didn't get it. Very hard. It's very hard to continue. Working after that, and I did and then the new editor guy really had an odd email tone. I don't know if you dealt with him.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
But he was quite fucking rude over email. And I'm quite pretentious, right? When I write, I'm quite pretentious. And so I wrote this piece. And so in King Lear, Edmund does a speech where he says, I was born under this star and under this star, which says that my character means I'm this. And then he uses this word to mean that's all a load of bollocks. And the word is fut. He says, ba 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 ba, fut. Yeah. As if to say, this is all a load of shit, right? So I wrote a piece in which I put the word fut with an exclamation mark at the end of a sentence to say, you know, I make some statement about something and then put fut as if to say, this is all bollocks, right? Well, the new editor guy must have gone on the internet, and the only thing I can imagine is he Googled and he got the wrong thing. And I was in America for the first time at that point, and I got this email from him, really, really quite rude email saying, you can't use language like that in a piece. This is absolutely disgusting. Don't you know, right? And it had to be the word fut, right? Now, he must have Googled, and foot, spelt the same, F-U-T, in Austrian slang means cunt, right? So he must have Googled, and he must have gone, what does fut mean? And then Googled it and came up with this Austrian slang, right? Because he wrote to me in my piece saying, we have people who speak other languages reading the magazine. Right. They'll know what you mean. And I got this email, and it was quite rude. And so I just wrote one sentence back to him saying, it's a quote from King Lear. And that was it. That's all I wrote back. Because I was livid. I was fucking livid. And then, I still wrote for the magazine for a bit under him.
I got on with Matthew quite well. I did I think you click with some people, and I think the ex people you're kind of like, oh, it's not.
And then, and then he quits after 3 months. And I'm just like...
You must have been.
I was so pissed off. Like, if you're not going to give me the job, at least you could give it to someone who's not going to fucking quit after 3 months, Yeah. It really knocked me off. And then the new editor came in. She was the the video person before. And the first thing she did was cut my Agony Aunt column. And I am a sensitive soul, bless
I know.
And they commissioned me to do videos for them, and they were paying me quite well for these videos. I mean, not brilliantly, but quite well. And they commissioned me to do these videos, and I was doing these videos, and I was getting them in, and they just weren't uploading them. And I was going, "What's the deal with the videos?" And they go, "Oh, da, 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 da." And then at one point they're like, "Oh, we can't use your music." And I was like, "Why?" And it was really good. The music was really great. It really fit the video because it's copyrighted. And I say, "I get it from here. Can you not pay £12 a month?" just to use this music. And then you get to use this music on every video you do. Can you not pay 12 quid a month? They were like, no. And they weren't uploading my videos and axed my column. And I was just like, I'm not getting paid enough to be fucking constantly rejected for shit. So I just stopped. I just stopped doing. And I mean, I was just about to say no bad feelings. I mean, fucking loads of bad feelings.
I was going to say exactly. No bad feelings.
I mean, the thing that really knocked me off was not the not getting the job. Like, I get it. I live in Berlin, and I get the impression I was probably asking more than they wanted to pay. It was just that when he quit after 3 months, I was like, you fucking assholes. You hire this dickhead. And he leaves after 3 fucking months. Christ on a bike, you know. It was very frustrating because I really wanted the job.
Yeah,
but,
no.
You know, and I've never really wanted jobs in the past, but I really wanted this one. But it is what it is. You know?
I've just drifted away. I mean, I'm going to go back, but I think you have to be in a particular mindset sometimes to do the pitching kind of thing. I think and you also need to be, there needs to be a bit of editorial gelling in the head.
So Chris would tell me that I would send in agony columns. And the other people in the office would go, we don't understand these sentences. What do these bloody words mean? And he said to me sometimes, I had to tone down your pieces, not for rudeness or anything, but because there were just words in there that people didn't understand. So I got the impression, I don't think she liked my writing anyway.
Right.
And it was like literally the day after she got the job. It was like, hi, Ben, we're reformatting the magazine. There's no room for your column anymore. And I'm sure it's just because she hated it. I'm sure she hated it.
I don't know. As I say, I think some people you click on an editorial level and you're just like, yeah, you're exactly the vibe. And other people,
Chris was
and other
great.
people, it's like you take an idea and it's just like, what? I don't get this. This isn't going to work. And it's not because it's not going to work for the. It's just certain people have certain visions of how things are. You know, I'm being incredibly diplomatic about this, but I've seen it from place to place when you get a change in management, and people want to put their own stamp on a place, and sometimes that means, regardless of whether or not something is 100% or even 85% working, they decide, well, I need to cut certain things because that is certainly part of this thing as identity kind of thing.
My brother works at a factory. He's worked at this factory for 40 years now. And they did continental shifts. You're familiar with what continental shifts
is? That when you do like back shift, front shift, right shift?
12-hour shifts, 4 days on, 4 days off, days, nights, right? So you do 4 days nights, 4 days days, and you have 4 days off in between. Well, some guy came in, a new manager, and he wanted to revamp the working thing. So he changed it to 4 days on, 2 days nights, 2 days days. So you were having to do the transition from doing nights to days at the same time. So you do 2 days of nights and then 2 days of days. So like everyone was fucked because
you can't do that.
You know, you've got to transition. You're like finishing work at 7 o'clock in the morning, then going back to work at like 8 to do fucking your day shift or whatever. Like, and he thought this would revolutionize. And it's just because he wanted to do something, you know. And you know, the thing is with Chris, right? I think me and Chris linked on a sort of pretentiousness level. And, you know, the other people working there, they didn't. Like, my first Agony Aunt column I sent him, he just wrote back saying, you don't mention games in there. And I'm like, I don't need to. Have you read any of my previous columns? Like, I don't mention games in them. It's not the point, you know.
So, where are you with the channel then? I mean, if let's jump in and do some kind of, let's do some light, gentle shilling. The King shilling. Because 5 games for Doomsday.
5G4D.com.
Is yeah, okay, I didn't actually kind of jump out of it, you know. So, you've got kind of like, you've got a sidekick.
Yeah, no, I like to think.
Yeah, it's like a sidekick. He's kind of like.
So he's a podcast sidekick, Whereas in real life, he earns 10 times more money than me.
I just find it hilarious because it's kind of
like he's a life superior, but a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant. It's almost like you're kind of like Bruce Wayne, and he's like Damian Wayne. He's literally like your son, and like very occasionally you'll reach over and you'll give him a kind of a slap a hooey across the back of the head just to remind him to keep him in his place.
So I was looking through reviews. We were doing something a few months ago, and someone had written a great review of the show saying, once great board game podcast has become a stupid and massively unfunny comedy show, do not listen to it. And I was like, yep, I think you've just about hit on. I need to get it on a t-shirt.
That's the kind of thing you kind of like print out, isn't it? I mean, it's like, because that's the things that you concentrate on. I never concentrate on people going, that's just, I laughed so much that literally my morning soup kind of spurted out my nose. It was absolutely amazing. It's like you get the people that say, your podcast gave me cholera. Kind of thing.
So it's the thing is, I have the main show, and that's never changed.
Yeah.
And that's serious. That's serious, and it's respectful and all of this. Apart from I interviewed someone today, and I went on a rant about kicking all public school kids out of the Labour Party. But that's
which is entirely acceptable. Have you tried taxing the rich? Just saying.
Your mates. Have you tried taxing
Friends,
your mates?
You know what I mean? Oh, your blue's showing.
And so that's serious, but I want to do more than just one show every 2 weeks. So we now have a live, an actual play role-playing thing, which the first episode of the new series is coming out on Monday, and we're not doing D&D, we're doing Call of Cthulhu. Ooh. And what's hugely exciting is it's sponsored by Chaos.
Oh, right, okay.
They sent all the books over and stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which is great. So we're doing the first episode of that, and then we do. So I wanted to find a good way to do the sort of Kickstarter stuff, and so I do a news show where I interview two people, two projects in the show, and then at the beginning I'll do a bit where we thank Patreon backers, and it's just 10 minutes of talking bollocks, and then a second bit where we do an AMA thing once a month, and all of that's great. And a publisher pays me once a month to do a podcast with him, and that goes out on the feed. And, I think of 5 Games for Doomsday now much more as a sort of channel than a podcast, right? Whereas you look at the TV guide for Channel 4 and you've got the serious stuff and the stupid stuff. That's what I think of it as now.
I think it naturally matures into that place. I think you find what your natural enjoyment is and the things that you have fun over or you enjoy doing, or they're difficult but it's worthwhile doing. The interview stuff, worthwhile doing. The mucking about with Steve, fun and enjoyment kind of thing. And it's the same with me. I mean, going back to like talking about Instagram and stuff like that, I'll rarely, I'll write reviews. I record the podcast with like Luke, and me and Luke have become a regular thing. And I think he's absolutely been the tonic that I have needed for the show.
Yeah.
He's been a fabulous addition. Just
loves a deadlift.
I don't know. It's just like the energy, and there's a kind of a nice kind of chatty chemistry, and it just seems to kind of be working extremely well. And every time, there's always some point in the show that we end up just cackling away. It's something which is absolutely ridiculous, but at the same time, I think we've been talking more about board games than I've ever spoken about in a long time. Right. Because it was very much a kind of an interview type show. Because
Luke is nothing if he's not an absolute massive shill to the man. So he's going to talk about
He's going to talk about board games all the time. But no, I mean, that was the focus. I mean, I enjoy the interview stuff and I enjoy the chat stuff.
It's just Awaken Realms chat.
That's all we're talking. It's not Awaken Realms. It's a separate organisation. I'd like to point out.
Okay.
I've been contractually obligated to tell you
separate.
that it's a completely different.
Completely
They've got separate
independent,
offices. They're not
Nothing
even
to
in
do
the
with
same
each other.
locale. Okay.
Totally.
Stop winking
agree,
at
yeah.
me.
Totally
Stop
separate.
winking at me. But then there's that. But there's also like the written review stuff, and I'm still having fun writing in the reviews. Are you still writing as much in terms of the review stuff, or am I just?
Yeah. I just do it on YouTube now.
All right. Okay.
And those reviews, I mean, bless them, they were easy. 800 words is so bloody easy to write. I can knock up a review in 40 minutes if it's 800 words. I mean, it's so bloody easy.
Do you think people pulled any truck with reviews anymore?
So it's interesting, isn't it? With the emergence of Substack, there's a lot of writing that people are reading, but I don't think board games are doing it particularly. There seems to be a sort of strange anti-intellectualism in board games, I think, which seems odd.
I think,
but there is a sort of strange. Oh, you're being pretentious. We don't want to.
no, I think what I see, right, is I see in any given day on the various different groups, be it Board Game Geek or whatever, I see the same two questions, which is, what's your favourite board game podcast? What's your favourite board game YouTuber? I don't see people talking about other things, and I definitely don't see people saying, hey, I really like written content. What's your favourite board game written media? Which is to the point where, in order to be not successful, but kind of consistent and kind of well-known in that space, I think you just need to keep writing. I think you need to be like your...
So I think Dan is the only one who really is a goer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the only one that seems to be.
I'm not sure if he makes any money doing it. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him about money.
I think he does. I think he does okay. I think he has a very, very loyal kind of Patreon kind of following who will give him money. But I don't think he's doing anything that. I don't think he's doing kind of huge numbers in that. But it's kind of interesting that you can say, well, tell me all the people who are writing. You're going like, well, there's Charlie Thiel, Dan Thoreau. And then you go, well, who else? There's very few other kind of people who you would say who take it above the kind of the next level. But again, it just goes to show you, I don't know if it is intellectual kind of snobbery or something like that, but I think people like to be able to skip to the end and find out what the score is. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Be it your kind of your dice towers out of 10s, or I don't think people like the written word, because in order to find out the overall thoughts and feelings of a game, people end up having to, I guess, read the whole piece. Unless you're one of these places, like, I mean, Board Game Quest, they're known for, I mean, they do scores at the end of their stuff, and I would never ever do that. I don't know how you could, like, I never understand how you could give a 4 out of 5 to something like, say, Courtesans, and then give a 4 out of 5 to something like Joyride, when they're completely different games in completely different genres. Right. It doesn't kind of make any sense to me. Kind of like going forward. But there you go. That's that little that rant and rave over.
It's reductive, I think.
Yeah, and also, as it comes back to short form video and everything, I think people in general are reading less. I don't think people are kind of connected to it anyway.
I know I am.
Just, I still do like to read, but I realise I don't read enough, and I don't read as much as I used to. And try to get my son to read is a impossibility. You can't get young kids to kind of sit down. We've well passed, I mean, J.K. Rowling, for everything that they've done after the Harry Potter books, they still managed to get like literally an entire generation to sit down and read. And I don't think there's been this thing for this kind of current crop of kids where they've got something that'll take them away from bloody screens.
The thing is, I know shag all about kids, right? Because I don't work with them and I don't have any. So I'm really sort of divorced from that. And I guess as a parent, you have a sort of conduit into what's happening with the kids. But like I read a lot less. Although for your listeners, if they are interested, I read a brilliant book recently called Our Band Could Be Your Life, which is a classic. It was written in 2001.
Okay.
It's a classic book. It's 10 chapters about the do-it-yourself bands of America in the 80s.
Really?
So there's a chapter on Fugazi, Mission of Burma, Dinosaur Jr., Mudhoney, Sonic Youth, and Butthole Surfers. Just about these 10 bands that kind of did it themselves, and how they managed to become legends within the music industry and their stories. And it's brilliant and so inspiring. I mean, so inspiring. And in the age in which we live, where media is essentially democratized now, where, you know, I mean, we can all have our own TV show and radio show now and not spend a lot of money to do it, right? Reading that sort of stuff is hugely inspirational. It hugely inspired me to keep plugging away, you know.
So, what's next? I mean, what are you doing? I mean, you've got the book, which is something else that you're concentrating on. But what's kind of inspiring you to keep going? I mean, there's only a couple of years now until you reach the kind of the 10-year anniversary of 5 Games for Doomsday. For me, it's less than a year now, so...
Yeah, so it's all changed. You know, I do a lot of different kind of stuff now. The thing that really kicked me up my arse and made me think that this is a worthwhile thing is the Discord. I opened a Discord years ago, and I'm really bad. I was never into forums and shit when I was younger, and so I had this Discord, and then it kind of withered away. And what was really interesting, I would go back every so often, and there were still a couple of people in the Discord having a chat. After years after I'd completely quit it. And then Steve said 2 years ago, I think, we should, this year's resolution should be to get this bloody Discord up and running again. So we kind of made a concerted effort, and now the Discord has hit a critical mass where I don't have to post to it anymore, and it still is completely healthy and ongoing. And that's and you get sort of instant feedback, but also you get, you know, a whole sort of access to your community, and your community get access to you that you just don't have. So I mean, Dan Hughes, really great at building community, and he kind of has that on Facebook, right? I was never good at it, but the people on the Discord run the community, and I pop in from time to time, and it's great. It's really, you feel like you're not shouting into the void, basically.
But it's a closed community, and unlike Facebook, which I feel is becoming less and less like a place that is even worthwhile kind of checking in on. I mean, I check in on I've got my own group, we've got the page, but apart from that, there's very little that's kind of keeping me kind of going back. My thing with the Discord is two things. It's like the whole Groucho Marx, would people actually show up if I switched it on? Because I do have a Discord, I've just never kind of switched it on. Would people turn up? Would they have chats? Is this something that's being kind of just as well serviced in other places? Would I end up being something?
You have to have, the thing with your Discord, it's just about your stuff, so it's quite gratifying. But to get it up and running, you need to put in 2 or 3 months of sort of real effort, and then hope you get a couple of sort of power users who come in and want. So we've got a couple of people who basically want the Discord is their social media. So the thing is, what's really funny, what I've noticed, and I'm going to get on my social media rant again. What I've noticed is because Musk has turned Twitter into 4chan, right? And that's undeniable. And so everyone has gone over to BlueSky, and not only have they gone over to BlueSky, they're going, oh, I've gone over to BlueSky. Now, the problem with BlueSky is, so firstly, microblogging is shit. It's crap. It's rotting society. So the form is fucked, not the content. The form is fucked. So basically, you have a choice of Twitter or BlueSky. Twitter's interesting and crazy. BlueSky is relatively sane, although I've seen some sort of nutty stuff on there. And dull as dishwater. It's just boring, I'm afraid. Middle-aged, middle-class people are boring, and that's the people who are on BlueSky. So it's dull. But the thing is, there's this idea now that you have virtuous social media and non-virtuous social media because, again, it's middle class, so everything has to fall into the 2 buckets of virtuous and non-virtuous. And the point is, BlueSky is no more fucking virtuous than Twitter. It's all shit. Facebook is shit. Snapchat is shit. Instagram is shit. Now, I eat burgers every so often. They're shit. But you have to acknowledge, and this idea that you're some sort of fucking moral paragon because you're on bloody Blue Sky. Have a fucking word with yourself. Go out. Go to a homeless shelter. Feed homeless people, for fuck's sake. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on the other place now. I hate it when they call it that. I'm on the other place. Oh, fuck off. Or they'll write something, their final tweet. I'm going where the skies are bluer. Oh, fuck off. So self-important. No fucker was listening to you before. No fucker's listening to you on Blue Sky. Because and no fucker's going to Blue Sky because it's so boring. And I post on Blue Sky, but I have this website. I discovered this website that does automatic posting to all my sites.
Oh, right, okay.
So I just do that now. I don't go on the website. I just write one post when a podcast comes out and boom, just to all my social media, so I don't have to engage.
I like Blue Sky. Yeah.
Do you? So do you like boredom?
Yes, I hate.
Do you like self-important, self-righteous?
Yes,
boredom?
I'm all of those things. Now I'm 50. That is my. You know, I mean, I'm now looking at lawnmowers with questioning eyes, wondering how much use am I going to get out of that, and how low can I cut my grass with this little bad boy, and how long is it going to take? You know, these are the these are the important questions. And going on Blue Sky, and one of the things I don't know. Do you know what? One of the things I did like about it was the level of engagement was kind of back, and there was a little bit of kind of like genuine people having conversations, as opposed to, you know what I mean, me going, I had a really good sandwich today. Oh, so you hate burgers?
Christ, on Blue Sky though, when the mass migration happened, it was just before Trump got elected. Yeah. There was this mass migration and everyone talking about going over to Blue Sky. God, the authoritarian strain, especially on the American left, is unfucking believable. There was all of these people going, we've got to make sure we build the happy community here. If you see anybody who's one of those from that other platform, make sure to kick them off. If they say anything, kick them off. Report them. Make sure you hit the report button. Report them. It's like, oh, fuck off. Fuck off. And it's just, and, you know, I'm not going to get into specifics.
Yeah,
but this idea that Blue Sky is this place of rationality. So
here we go.
A guy drove his car into a Christmas market in Berlin over Christmas and killed a load of people, right? And so I went onto Twitter to look what people were saying on Twitter. And then I went onto Blue Sky to see what people were saying on Blue Sky. And you may not believe this because it's your new favourite.
It's not my new favourite hangout.
Yeah, all right.
I do.
Love it. You love it. You want to kiss
It's
Blue
brilliant.
But,
Prosecco all round.
But the reactions were the complete opposite and both equally as unhinged. Both equally as unhinged. You had the people on fucking Twitter talking about deporting all Muslims out of the country. And then you had people on Blue Sky going, there's no way it could ever be a Muslim. Muslims don't commit terror attacks. I mean, both completely unhinged. And it's like, oh, Christ. And I did that one A/B test and I was like, this is it. I'm done with all of it. All of it's crap. All of it's crap.
Yeah, but that's why Discord's nice.
That's
why Discord's nice.
But yeah, so people on my Discord started talking about politics, especially after the election. And so I just walked in. I went into the channel that they're in, and I said, "Right, I'm opening a politics channel. I don't want to see any of the shit in any other channels." So I put it all. I opened the politics channel, and then I muted notifications, so I don't get notifications from that channel because the people on my Discord are very nice. I mean, and what's they will come on the Discord and they will slag me off a lot. It's very funny. They will call me stupid a lot. And that's totally fine. But I don't need to hear people's half-baked theories about the fucking Middle East. I honestly don't, because bless them. And they're all intelligent, professional, middle-class people, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because no one on the internet knows what the fuck they're talking about, so I don't need to be involved in it. But, you know, you love it. Get on BlueSky. I'm surprised we're talking now. I'm surprised you're not on BlueSky. On your new
I'm just looking
place.
at, my notifications are lighting up because I did.
I'm sure they
you know
are.
what I mean?
You're just. Are you gonna pull the fucking cheapest trick?
What's that?
And copy and paste your viral tweet from Twitter.
I've done it already. First thing I did. First thing I did. Yeah, 22 likes.
What was really funny though, after that blew up, your tweet
It ended up everywhere.
I saw what was really funny is I saw a number of people from the board game world sort of slightly rephrase it and then tweet it, trying to get that level of engagement. It was very funny.
Yeah. No, I get it all the time. I mean, there's people, you see it's on LinkedIn. And people will go like ba 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 ba, and it's like author unknown. And it's like, hang on a fucking second.
I know who I am.
I definitely wrote this. But there you go. And I mean, and it still is paying for my house and everything like that. You know what happens when you get
I assume you earned a lot of bucks.
I was up to my eyes in nothing.
So I'm absolutely sure you've memorized this. What were the end figures on that tweet?
Oh, I don't know. It was well over 100,000 likes or something like that, and it was certainly like at least about 70 or 80,000 kind of retweets on it. It was absolutely just ridiculous at the time. And what's interesting is the numbers have obviously fallen as people have kind of like disappeared, cancelled accounts and stuff like that at the time. But you still get,
I'm going to the place where the skies are bluer. Well done. You're going to bloody. It was always that thing, and I've spoken about this on this podcast before. That bloody thing, people. I can't believe the harassment I'm getting on Twitter. Don't go on Twitter then. I tell you, I went to the face punching shop the other day. I couldn't believe the amount of times they were just punching me repeatedly in the face. Bloody hell! When I go there tomorrow, I'm going to expect them not to punch me as much. The idiot.
It's about time that they moved away from face punching to kind of doomsday. So if people are...
Oh yeah, we started doing that, didn't we?
If people are interested in keeping an eye on the doomsday...
Every podcast we do is exactly
It's exactly the same. It's just copy and paste. It's just Control-C. I'd actually just take the waveform. Control-C, Control-V, and that's it. Put the show notes at the bottom. But where can people find you on the internet webs?
Okay, so you go to 5gfd.com. Mm-hmm. There you can join the best Discord in board gaming, which you go on, you click the pin post, click on the invite, and you can join the Discord and come in and have a chat with the very pedantic people on there. I'm still on Twitter because middle-class people telling me where and what I can go on. I'm on Twitter at 5games. For the number Doomsday.
That's amazing.
Terrible. I'm on there and I post when I have a show out and nothing else. I'm on Rich's favourite place.
BlueSky.
He loves it. What you can't see, listeners, is he's wearing a BlueSky cap and a BlueSky t-shirt.
Is there any other cap and t-shirt to wear?
And I'm sure BlueSky underpants. So I'm on there. What I don't even know. What is it? 5gfd.blueskyuser.com or something. I don't bloody know. Whatever it is.
With my delicious butterflies.
I'm on Instagram doing something. And that's
generally being
it,
simmeringly angry.
Yeah, just go to 5gfd.com.
Just find it.
That's
what you want.
Join the Discord. You can get all the shows there. So the last show I did has been very popular. I interviewed Kai Jensen, who is a developer at GMT Games, and she is the wife of the designer of Dominant Species, Chad Jensen, who we lost. What a pretentious...
Oh, wow.
I didn't know.
You were doing so well.
Why am I saying we lost? A bloody
This sounds like you're in Asda's and he's just like, you've turned around and he's buggered off into the town.
He died in like 2019 or something, and we go into that, and it's a really affecting, very, very emotional, but I think worthwhile show worth listening to. And if you join the Patreon, I do have a Patreon. If you join the Patreon, we do things called battle reports with me and Steve, and we play a game, or we record a podcast while we're playing a game, so we give our opinions on it. The designer of the game is always interviewed for every episode, and it's definitely not me doing a northern accent. And also we have a third guest. So Steve, a couple of years ago, bought a board game table, and what he didn't realise is that the board game table was pregnant. And the board game table gave birth to a baby table who, upon being put in Steve's living room, watched a load of YouTube videos and now is a massive conspiracy.
No.
And he comes on as a guest every show to talk about the games and new things he's learned in the world of conspiracy. Sounds amazing. So crabs don't exist.
Dogs can't look up.
He hasn't said that, but I'm sure he knows.
It's a new one.
He wrote a rap song. About
You're
crabs all existing.
Absolutely unhinged.
The first line is pretty good,
is
I
it?
think. I don't care if you're sober or pissed, as long as you say that crabs don't exist.
I'm just wondering how sober. What is that all about? That's just absolutely brilliant.
I'll send you an email.
No, you don't need to.
Tune. No,
you don't.
Great.
I'm going to block you if you do that.
Block me on your new favourite app. I'm loving it.
Look him up.
Get my phone out. Gonna get on the BlueSky. Love the BlueSky. Ooh, I'm going where the skies are blue, and my name's Richie BlueSky. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
There's a couple of places you can find us. You can go to Spotify. Search for us, you'll find us there. Go to our websites, we'renotwizards.co.uk for all the written stuff, and also all the links to the podcast as well. And
find Luke Pryor at awakenrealms.com.
It's not. They're in separate. They're in separate buildings. It's not part of the same thing.
Sorry.
Now remember, we're many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Ben?
I mean, before we started, you got a hat where you pulled out various rabbits.
Well, the dog's...
So, is that a wizard?
The dog's just down there, so he needs fed. It's a bloodbath.
And you did say to me before, I tell you what, Ben... Because that's how you actually speak. This is not your... I tell you what, Ben. BlueSky is some magic. It's such a magic place, man. Love it on the BlueSky, Ben. You gotta get more on the BlueSky. You gotta post more on the BlueSky, Ben. Is what you said to me.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. You think BlueSky is magic. Amazing. It's your favorite place. So
it is like the best. It's gonna heal all of society's ills.
Microblogging is going to heal.
That's exactly what it is. And there's only one other thing to do. Remember, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful, and stay spicy. But it's a good...
Brought to you by BlueSky.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a BlueSky from me.
Fuck's sake.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.